on today's episode of Anime Afterthought, Tower of God, Episode 7, Lunch and Tag. Well, here we are again, another Wednesday and another episode of Tower of God. I really couldn't wait to get into today's episode because the last one left off at a feverish pace. Anak had just attacked Androssi, and with it we get a little bit of her backstory and see the reason why she's after, the 13-month series. Spoiler alert, it's revenge. Now before we get into today's videos, let's make some corrections. It had slipped my mind that Lororo did say earlier on in the series that Shinsu, literally being, a divine element, can in fact grant immortality, or at least, eternal youth. It seems once you get Shinsu under control, you basically don't age or age at a super low rate, which actually makes sense because somebody let it slip that King Jihad is really fucking old. Moving on to correction number 2. The 13-month series is actually given out to exceptional princesses. So we now know that there are more than just the, 13 princesses in this series. It's only like the genius level, except one of these legendary weapons. And it turns out Yuri is the only one in the last 500 years to actually receive one. Now, starting out today's episode, we get a little bit more information, speaking of princesses, the reason that in the anime's term, intercourse as well as bearing a child is so forbidden is because once you obtain this title of princess, you're actually shared a portion of Jihad's power. And if you were to have intercourse and have a child, that blood connection, the power actually transfers to them. That's why Anak is so fucking OP. But yeah, the whole intro scene basically shows the princesses as these almost like trophy wives that are to be looked at but never touched. It's this weird kind of like they compare it to shoes in a showcase. Like, it's a very weird but kind of poignant analogy. I mean, it works. But I really like at the end of it, we get a glimpse of other princesses. Now, I don't know if these are, the wielders of the 13-month series, but we see like a pink-haired one, we see a red-haired one, we do see Yuri and Androssi. But the one I'm most curious about is the first we get a glimpse in is the light blue-haired princess. Could that be Marie? Is that the one that, we see in the flashbacks with Kun? Like, I'm not 100% sure. So it gets me excited though. I mean, we do see a glimpse of these other, these OP characters that are literally sharing a portion of the king of the tower's fucking power. So it is pretty fucking exciting. Now at this point, we cut back to our actual, the present day. Anak and Androssi, the fight is intensifying. It's a pretty gnarly battle. I love the animation. I love how the Shinsu effect is awesome. This shit looks fucking awesome. I'm gonna put it that way. But I have to say, it ends very, comical. It has a very comedic ending. Anak is finally able to get the upper hand. Once again, it seems that Androssi's shoes are gonna be her downfall. Her heel breaks at the edge of a platform. She's about ready to fall. Anak gives her, one more swift kick. Make sure she's, finally finished off, and Androssi grabs her. We get a pinch, a comedic, over-exaggerated, thumping, red, damaged hand. We go full-on chibi expressions on both of them, and Androssi just grabs her fucking leg and takes her ass down with her. And I guess thus ends, the fisherman game. But of course, that leads us to, a little one-on-one between technically an aunt and a niece. That's how they're portraying it. I mean, we also know that there's no blood relation between these princesses. I mean, they're chosen by family and tribe, but the moniker of the princess, obviously, they have formed a makeshift familial bond. And it seems that Androssi, when she was first, elevated to the position of princess, it seems like Anak's mother was kind to her. So she want to know, did your mother regret any of the choices she made? We get some more flashbacks into that fateful night, which leads me to a giant concern. We see that Anak is, shoving her daughter away. Hey, you have to go with this man, which is very curious. She just says goes with this man. Was it the dad? Not 100% sure. So why don't you say go with your father? But anyways, the man is trying to take her and obviously bring her to safety, but Anak keeps going back. Finally, on the third time, gives her, that green gem that she found earlier, I believe in the day or at some point. And as Anak is walking away, the mother just kind of blurs out and all we see this little bright green dot. All the meanwhile, the other tests are going on. And I have to say, Bam is fucking killing it. For someone who is, outside of the tower with very little knowledge of its going on, he's killing this wave controller program. And he's not only garnering the attention of, the instructor, who by the way has a very awesome design. I love that fucking pillowcase sheep kind of imaginary friend vibe coming from it. Fucking awesome. But he's also garnering some bad attention the way of Ho. Now it seems he's a little upset about Bam's prowess when it comes to Shibisu controlling Shinsu, but I'm also getting flashbacks into, you know how Sasuke compared himself to Naruto once Naruto got the nine-tailed fox under control for the first time? Like, dude, he's got an extra little something that's giving him a little boost, so why are you so upset? Well, it seems he's dealing with his own, shit. He's got a tortured past. And I actually like where the author is taking this. He's flushing out the other characters. Like I said in my Black Clover review yesterday, giving your secondary and tertiary characters, any kind of development fills out an open world and makes it feel like actually brimming with life. And I love how, our other characters are getting some attention. I have to say though, Ho's past is pretty fucking scary. It's like the demons from ReZero or the Scarlet Eyes from Hunter x Hunter. All we see is this Full Metal Alchemist, gluttony, homunculus looking motherfucker in a monk's robe with a couple other fat dudes collecting a bunch of fucking horns and a bunch of people, just bodies laying on the fucking ground, just like crying in agony. So yeah, it looks like maybe his horn is of precious commodity. It also signifies that there's other shit going on in the tower. It's not just people trying to climb said tower. There's like fucking other shit going on. And judging how big this fucking world is, of what we've seen so far, the scale says there literally could be other stories going on that we have fucking no clue about what's going on. So it's very interesting. Like I said, I just love how he's developing these other characters. Now, before we move on, my main man Shibisu, once we learn this information about Ho, and it was in the form of a flashback or possibly a daydream, he's actually awoken by a ring at his door as well as a mysterious letter saying, "Do you want to climb the tower?" And he is surprised by what's written inside. Very curious because what comes next is, another game, another test. Okay, so Shibisu. Shibisu has been, taking on the comedic role, as well as Rack, definitely giving us some highlights of the series, just some very guttural laughs. I've had fun watching Shibisu, especially his interactions with our main character, Bam. Even though all these characters are supposed to be rivals, they definitely are flushing out some, some relationships, some friendships. And it seems Bam is taking that to heart. When Shibisu once again comes to him saying, "Do you know I'm about to fail my fucking scout exam?" It's up to Bam to, fill in those last two slots. And who does he choose? Yes, the now injured, remember they fell from the platform, Anak and Androsi, basically bribing them with lunch to garner their signature. Once again, saving the day. I mean, technically, yes, it was Kuhn's plan, and the only reason he did it is to make sure, Hots was put in his place, as we see a very uncomfortable thank you from him. But I highly doubt Kuhn would even have done it if it wasn't for, Bam asking him to. So we definitely see this kind of makeshift group happening. The lunch table, this is where it's at. This is where the cool kids sit. But out of the corner of Androsi's eye, she once again captures Rachel, who seems to only be buying apples every day. Even the creature in charge of lunch is like, "Hey, you're gonna buy an apple again? Like, that's probably not healthy." And it looks like Androsi takes it upon herself to have a little talk with her, saying, "You know what, Bam's a nice guy. I really hope what you seek at the top of the tower is worth more than his life." And the now quote unquote Michelle Light takes a very sour attitude, like, "You know fucking nothing about me." Like, honestly, we don't know nothing about you. We don't know shit about you. We know one day outside the tower, you found Bam, you taught him a bunch of shit, you created a connection, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Fuck it, I'm going to the tower to see the sky." Obviously, it's got to be deeper than that. You just don't want to see the stars of the sky or some shit, do you? Like I said, I don't fucking know anything about you. But Rachel, I mean, Michelle, you're not letting anyone in. And that's what makes it hard to get to know you. But we honestly can't focus too much on her because it seems the administrators are throwing us for a loop. It's going to be a rare test, a mixed position test where I guess we're going to have makeshift teams, A and B, and it's a game of tag. It's not your normal tag because it seems they're playing against an actual ranker. Yeah, remember Quant, the guy who kind of like haphazardly put the hooded team through? I'm actually finding it kind of difficult to get a read on this dude. I don't know if he's just fucking around because that's his, personality, or is he playing this part? Like, I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, now this makeshift group of newbies have to take on a ranker. Obviously, he's limited by his Shinsu, but still, he's a fucking ranker. And as we see in the first battle with Kuhn's team, it's not going to be that fucking simple. Even with Kuhn coming up with a brilliant plan to use Shibisu as a decoy, as well as getting the drop on him using his light bearer's cube and a knock in a very advantageous position, everything basically comes crashing down, and a knock gets the worst of it. Fucking grabbing onto Green Apple and just fucking whipping her around, dragging her on the fucking ground. And we see that Quant gets fucking pissed, and that's one of his That's one of his bad habits. He seems to lose control and get pissed off. And remember, you're supposed to be administering a test, not actually taking on, a fucking enemy. Like, and that's basically where we cut out today's episode. Like, shit. Today was a good episode. Good episode. I wasn't bombarded with a lot of information, too much to actually consume at once, but it did give us a lot to think on. We got to see a glimpse of the other princesses. We now know why intercourse/birth is forbidden, as well as why Anak, her mother, was quote unquote punished. We're given a better glimpse into people's characters. We see, Ho-Oh and has his own shit going on. Leroux is a little bit deeper than I thought he was at first. That whole situation with his pillow getting taken and drooled on. Like I said, I like how he's expanding the actual characters. He's developing his characters, and that's good to see. It's gonna make it harder when these guys eventually go against each other. Like you said, all these people are rivals, so that's gonna make it that much harder, that much more emotionally devastating when they start fighting against each other. What else badass happened? Fucking Rack and the Berserker dude just fucking Rack was laughing. He was just lording over everyone that he and the Berserker dude are the only two fuckers that passed their tests. But yeah, I'm extremely looking forward to next week's episode. I mean, we have the conclusion of Team A. We still have Team B. I want to know what the fuck was in that letter to Ho. If I haven't made it abundantly clear, let me just, say it now. I'm officially hooked on this series. It definitely will be bittersweet once the first season comes to the end, but that means I get to jump into the, the webtoon and actually read all the shit that was cut. I also heard that Annie News is doing a good job. They're doing their cut content. I did watch their cut content on Shield Hero after it was, released. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to look forward to with this series. It's a good series overall, and I really enjoyed today's episode. With that being said, I cannot wait for future episodes.